Joe Gaither with the mustache.
Hey, we are live on the Believe in Monsters podcast.
Wait.
One more week closer to Caleb Williams. Right here with Lucas Berry, Chris Krogman. I am Joe Gaither, and you're subscribed to us on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast. Your podcast. Excuse me. Blup, 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 blup. We're a proud part of the Believe Network, and we're here to talk about the Chicago Bears as we're 1 week closer. What is it now? 30 days, Luke, from drafting Caleb Williams and becoming the greatest franchise, the franchise we all know that we can be. So without further ado, Lucas Berry, what in the world? How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. It is, you're right, Joe, about 30 days or so from the draft. I think 1 month out, a little less now. From the draft, which is exciting stuff. It's a fun time to be a Bears fan, unless you're on Bears Twitter right now, which again is fighting over something stupid. It's a great time to be a Bears fan. We have a lot to talk about. Caleb Williams, 2 picks in the top 10, a few NFL rule changes, Caleb Williams Pro Day, and some NFL meetings.
Chris Krogman, do you care about Caleb Williams? Pink fingernails, pink phone case, pink this, pink that?
No. Female parts are made of pink things. So
hey,
I like pink things too.
Hey.
Are you the Pink Panther?
There's a movie that Christian Slater starred in called Cuffs. It's not that great a movie, but there's a line in it where he's like buying his girlfriend flowers, and on the card he says kisses to all your pink parts. And I just have never forgot that. I think it's hilarious. So yes, I like pink parts.
Hey, we are pro pink parts on the Believe in Monsters podcast, and we do not care. Unless Lucas, I mean, I don't want to speak for all of us. We do not care about the pink fingernails, the pink, whatever.
It is funny to me, I guess, how upset some people, fans, media get about this whole thing, finger painting and whatever, man. It's just...
I think it's a little outside of the box from sitting over here down here in Alabama, but do I really care about it as far as what he plays like and then what kind of a teammate he's like? No, I don't. I think maybe he's going to get a little hell for it in the locker room here and there, but if he's a badass quarterback, then basically everybody else will shut up and take it.
But Joe, part of this whole thing, and it's also part of why I like Caleb Williams and why I think, all the questions about will he fit in the city are kind of laughable, is just like he doesn't care. Like, he straight up does not care, and it is awesome. Like, and he has the personality to take it head on, and just like laugh about it. Throw other stuff back in your face. I see him on Twitter chirping some people who are making fun of nothing, just in like a friendly way. It's all funny to me though. It's like he just doesn't care whether it's the locker room, the city. I don't think he'll be too phased coming into Chicago and being who he is.
Same. I love that he doesn't care. That's like I listened to part of CHGO today where they had, I think, EJ Snyder on from
Bootleg.
Thank you. I was gonna call it Butthole Sports. I don't know why. Anyway, Bootleg Sports, and he was basically saying like Caleb is just like unfazed by anything and everything. He just lets it all roll off his shoulders and doesn't care. And he has like a quiet confidence to him, which is super cool. Swaggy, but also not super douchey, at least to his teammates.
Let's get into what happened over the last week with Caleb Williams, and that is he performed at Pro Day. And frankly, guys, I got to be honest with you, I was at Alabama Pro Day, so I didn't really see a whole lot of it. What I did see was that Keenan Allen was there, and I did see, obviously, a whole lot of Bears people were out there watching it, and it was a weekend to do. Everybody taking him out, this, that, and the other. Seems like a done deal. I didn't see anything like I never saw any clips from it, which I don't care. I don't care. But I never saw anything like the Zach Wilson. I'm going to do this for a highlight reel.
There was one of those flown out there. He threw
Okay, was there? Okay, good.
he threw like a 65-yard effortless pass down the sidelines.
Great.
And it was like, yeah, it was cool. It was the highlight of the day, whatever. Honestly, I'll tell you what, the thing I was most shocked about watching the pro day, Caleb Williams is freaking jacked. Like his arms looked humongous during his pro day. And if you didn't see it, look it up. I was like kind of surprised. I was like, this dude is huge.
The thing I took away from the pro day is his teammates love him.
Also, Keenan Allen being there is like insane.
That's Chris, your takeaway. Continue, because yours was mine. Continue.
You could just tell, like the way they interacted with him, the way they, his center was wrestling with him after the pro day was all done with. They just get along with him. They like him. And everything like I've read against the whole Caleb isn't liked by his teammates shenanigans that's been going on since the end of the season has been completely disproven so many times, to the point where apparently, like, I don't know if we touched on this story, but like the backup quarterback that's playing that
Miller
got
Moss.
to play in that kid. Like a bunch of QBs wanted to transfer to USC, and Caleb was gonna play in the Holiday Bowl, or was ready to play in the Holiday Bowl, and basically said, "No, you can play so that you can run Lincoln's system," and basically shut down all the incoming transfers. So, like, that's a pretty cool thing to do for a guy that's, backed you up all year. Everything on the CHGO podcast I was talking about with EJ Snyder, EJ was saying the same thing. Like, everything he's heard throughout the entire year is that he's a very well liked young man, and I think he's going to come into that locker room and be fine. And I think he's going to handle Chicago media and all the hype. Going back to what Lucas said, like, he just doesn't care. Like, he doesn't let him bother. He doesn't bother him, or at least he doesn't seem to be bothered. But that was my takeaway from his pro day. He's loved.
Now, Joe, I don't know if you were caught up on this. I know you said you were busy with Alabama, but the other thing that was kind of important last week was the Bears used basically the entire week leading up to the pro day. I think they flew out Monday, and his pro day was Wednesday, to meet with Caleb for 2 straight days. They had dinner with him, which I thought was actually pretty cool. They brought him out with a few of his teammates to see how he interacted with them, how they acted as a group. And I think more to what Chris said, that just gave Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus more confidence that these guys really genuinely care about him. And it's not just, behind the scenes types, or not behind the scenes, in front of the camera type stuff, at the pro day, et cetera, et cetera. And then supposedly, I think last Tuesday, they spent the entire day with him on the whiteboard, going over some stuff, seeing how he retains knowledge. And then basically right after Caleb's pro day, we had an article from Brad Biggs saying, if it wasn't cemented before, it's basically almost there. The last step is the medicals, which we will get, or they will get the first week of April at Hallis Hall. So it's looking more and more likely like it's a done deal. And today at the NFL owners meetings, or the past 2 days, I feel like we've had some slip ups between Eberflus and Poles, kind of laughing about the Caleb situation, saying some things that would indicate they're ready to take him.
I saw one of the slip ups from CHGO tweeting that they did some install during the pro day, and
they're going to continue to do the install when he shows up.
Right. So it sounds like it's and to me that's perfectly fine. Like, if everybody's on the same page with it, and okay. Maybe you don't want to leak it out there to everyone that it's done deal, but like, if everybody in the inner circle is on the same page with it, let him on the inner circle. Hey man, so get ready to be a Bear. Go ahead and pick out where you're gonna live in Naperville or whatever, and just figure it out. I'm really, at this point, I wish it was already here. The draft was here, because I think that we're on to what the Bears are going to do at number 9. I don't want to skip ahead quite yet, but I think that that's where I am as a fan. Chris?
Yeah, one more other thing that Adam Hogue was there at the pro day, and he was
Hoagie
saying
and Johnny's.
Hoagie and Johnny's. Yeah, Johnny's
Just-
on there. Just
yeah.
Hoagie.
Okay, we love
He
you.
said that essentially no other teams were even talking to Caleb. Like,
Yep.
it wasn't about Washington, wasn't about New England. They were. It'll be curious to see if Caleb even takes any other visits, and that'll be the true indicator in the next couple weeks if he even goes anywhere else. But that it was very obvious the entire day was about the Bears, which was I thought was pretty.
Yeah, I think the Bears were the only team they said, or Hogue said that actually they brought over to meet Caleb's dad. And they also wanted to note that Caleb's dad wasn't on the sideline, not being a helicopter parent. He was in the stands being a parent. And that is
Nice.
another misconception about Mr. Williams is that, he may say some things to the media, but he definitely stays out of the way, I think, with the actual team stuff. So I think that was pretty cool. As we go more in this process, I also think it's cool that a lot of this stuff is public knowledge to kind of debunk what's been out there. I really see some. I don't know. There's just too many people gave the kid a bad rep leading up to this process, I think. So,
Well, Chris talked about the pro day and his teammates at pro day. The story that struck me came out recently in the last handful of days, but it goes back to the combine. He's throwing at a local high school in Indianapolis over the course of the couple of days where he's there just to show his face. And according to the story, he knows he figures out every high school kid's, all the wide receivers he's throwing to. So he's like, hey, Johnny, do this. Hey, Billy, do that. Instead of, and while that's a tiny thing to remember a kid's name over the course of 2 days, it makes everybody feel important. And when your main man is making everybody else in the building from, whether it be a high school kid just visiting for the day or, or anybody, it makes you feel, it makes you feel more bought in when you feel more important. So I'm excited. How do you feel about the Mikey Bear Down? Because ballot box stuffing. How do you feel about the Mikey Bear Down ballot box stuffing scandal? What's been going on here?
So Joe, you haven't. I guess you haven't been caught up. I hate that we're live.
No, do it anyway.
I love it.
Do it anyway.
It's hilarious because this is what me and Lucas were talking about before the show.
Long story short, Adam Hogue was beating Mikey Bear Down Cuz, who had his recent rise to fame on Bears Twitter. In the March Madness Bears Twitter poll, what had happened is at around 6:30 p.m., Mikey Bear Down Cuz allegedly got 17 to 1,800 votes, all for him in a 10-minute span. And the creator of the bracket then kicked him out and said he was cheating. And Mikey Bear Down Cuz's rebuttal was that which he does. He has a very large Instagram following, 75,000 people. But his rebuttal is that they all went out and voted for him. But within a 10-minute span is very sketchy. So I don't know what's going on here.
From a video he posted 4 hours before that.
He posted the link in his Instagram 4 hours before all the votes came in, which is just
yeah.
I think he's a cheating little bitch who lies like a little bitch.
Mikey Bear Down does, man.
Like he tells a story about telling stories about Justin Fields' barber had an inside scoop on.
No, that wasn't him. That wasn't him.
That wasn't him. That was him.
No, that was another conspiracy theorist. Jaquan Brisker's. Yes, it was.
That was
Jaquan Brisker's barber.
It's just Twitter, man. If you get beat by Adam Hogue, it's A-okay. He does great work.
I feel like that was the same dude. Anyway,
shameful.
So
the whole graveyard was voting for him.
What was the other? There was another EJ Snyder thing I wanted to talk about, or another thing from the.
Is that the cat on Twitter who's like, sign the petition to bring Justin back?
No, that's a different dude.
All right, we are.
There's a lot of people that need Dr. Phil.
Can we not move on in the group?
We did last week. Last week we did. That's
exactly.
We did.
And I just broke the rule.
Moved on. What was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Damn it, Joe, you were talking about the kids who all loved him or whatever.
The kids in
Man.
Indianapolis, they loved him. He
Yeah.
learned his name. He learned their names so they could run his
Yeah.
route. So he
Oh, I know what it was.
boom,
All
go
right.
for it.
So I guess Brett Coleman went out to dinner with a bunch of people from Caleb's camp because he lives not far from LA. And they said, so like these pro days are all very scripted. It's very, this guy's going to run this route. This guy's going to do this. This guy's going to, shake Caleb Williams' dad's hand at this certain time of the day and blah, blah, blah. So apparently one of the wide receivers pulled his hamstring like minutes before the pro day. And, everybody's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh, my God, what are we going to do? Do these guys run these routes now? And does this guy do that? And Caleb was like, don't worry about it. I got it. He's like, you guys do this, you do this, you do this, and we'll knock it out. They shortened it by a couple of throws, by like 5-10 throws. So he didn't do some of those routes. And they said they took a little bit more breaks in between. They would run like 3 to 5 routes, take a water break, where other quarterbacks are probably doing like 15 routes. And then,
oh man, does he not have the stamina to be the number one guy?
Well, I just think it's the impressive thing was that he basically took control of it and said not to worry about it. And everybody was just like, okay, if you're not worried about it, we're not worried about it. I thought
sounds
that
like
was cool.
it sounds like something you're going to have to do in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. Time's running out. We got to make some adjustments. No big deal. I'm excited about this guy. I don't want to get myself excited yet because I've had my heart broken twice by the last two first-round quarterbacks. But I'm more at peace than excited, and I think I'm happier with that feeling.
I'm excited. I am very, very excited. This has been the first time a post-draft or a post-season draft process has like swayed me pretty significantly in quite a while because now I'm getting really freaking geeked.
Well, what else is on our mind tonight? Lucas dropped two NFL rules. We saw the kickoff rule and we've seen the hip drop rule.
The NFL challenge.
And the challenge, yep. I'm loving the all right, we'll start with the challenge since the bump goes up right there. You win your first challenge, you automatically get 2 more. So I think it's dependent on winning that first one, Luke. It's not 1 out of 2. It's you win the first one, then you get 2 more. Whereas opposed, you had to win your first and your second to get the third.
Oh, so you can't just win the second and get the third. You got to win the first one.
I think it's the first one, and then boom, now I get 2 more chances.
I did not know. Okay, that makes more sense.
No, that might be a wrong interpretation, but that was my interpretation of what I read.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like it. I think sometimes 2 challenges doesn't feel like enough, but
Joe's wrong. Yeah,
Joe, you're wrong, dude.
I'm wrong.
Teams now get a third challenge if one of their first 2 challenges is successful instead of both.
Okay, all right.
Joe's wrong.
I am wrong.
All right, I still like it. I do think sometimes I'm like, okay, 2 challenges isn't enough, especially if you win one and waste your other, and then you're like, damn, I should have saved that for this other thing that happened. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't really bother me one way or another. I think it's good.
There were less than a dozen games in the regular season and playoffs last season when a coach used both challenges and was successful on only one. So doesn't seem to make a difference. Replay can now determine whether a snap got off before the game clock expired, can advise officials on the field on certain elements of roughing the passer and intentional grounding, and can overrule an incorrect call on the field that a passer was down or out of bounds before throwing a pass. Whoa.
Shouldn't they have done that before?
They should have, but they didn't, apparently.
That just seems like obvious stuff.
Some of these are like, but some of these are penalty driven, and a lot of penalties are not correctable via replay, but the intentional grounding or like the player being down, I thought the player being down was reviewable. An incorrect call that a player was down. Oh, because you previously you were saying that it was a fumble and he wasn't down versus whatever. Okay. whatever. There's some replay challenge changes. Deal with it. We'll learn as we go.
The big one is the kickoff.
I think the hip drop tackle is pretty big too, but I think the kickoff is significant as well.
Yeah, I think the hip drop tackle is bigger, and it's going to change more games.
You think the hip drop? I think the kickoff is bigger because you're going to get returns all the time now.
Oh, yeah, you are going to get returns all the time, but I think you're going to, like, how many returns get returned for a touchdown? Probably about the same as there was a couple years ago when kickoffs were still prevalent. You get returns, which does make it more fun. But that hip drop tackle, you get a referee that misinterprets the rule. Oh my gosh, you're going to see it's going to be the judgment call of the century. Now, what does it protect runners? Yes, it does. But it's going to become the next pass interference. It's going to just become the next element of a pass interference. Was that a hip drop tackle? Oh, we're going to throw the flag. Was that the targeting? And it's going to be another element just like that. And so it's going to change more games. That in my
What
opinion.
What is the penalty for the hip drop tackle there, Joe?
Oh gosh, was it 15 yards?
It's a 15-yard personal foul penalty.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's significant. Treating it like a face mask, except it's something that's kind of completely subjective.
Right.
So
it's a new personal foul, basically.
It's called the swivel hip drop tackle. And NFL executive Jeff Miller said the tackle was used 230 times last season and resulted in 15 players missing time with injuries, including the big one, which was Mark Andrews. I'm just throwing that in there because I read it somewhere else. That's not in the article I'm reading.
Right.
It will now result in a 15-yard personal foul if officials spot it on the field, or it will result in a fine the following week. I guess if it's not called on the field. A violation will occur if a defender grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips or lower body, landing on or trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. Oh, I think that's pretty clearly defined. There were 212 unnecessary roughness calls last season in the regular season and playoffs, so this could lead to a significant increase unless defenders curb their behavior. Man, they're making it harder and harder to bring these dudes down, though.
Right. You just said 230 instances, right? You want to know how many yards that is in penalties? 3,450 yards in penalties. Now that's if they catch everyone.
That's more penalty yards than votes that Bear Down Cuz got in 10 minutes.
You're changing games here by throwing a flag, and you got to say, are you getting all 230 of those right? Oh, and then how many of those? Oh man, that should have been a holding. They missed holding on that call, or that was roughing the passer. How many roughing the passer? How many times is roughing the passer? Justin Fields not going to get called for roughing the passer? Like, dude, if somebody on the Bears gets hip dropped and the flag doesn't come out, like, it's going to be a thing that changes games. Now,
how many yards a game across the NFL do you think that is? You're 3,450.
What do you repeat that again?
So it's freaking 230 instances times 15 yards.
Yeah.
It's 3,450.
Right.
I divided by 17 games.
Oh, okay.
It's like 150 yards.
It's not 17 games though, dude.
17 weeks.
It's 17 games times 32 teams.
All right, so that's 16 games, but by this 200,
550. It's like 6 yards a game.
It's 17 games.
divided by 16. If everybody's if everybody's playing that week, it's one personal foul. It's 15 yards. It's basically it's 12.6 basically.
Right.
So it's one personal foul a game. Maybe I'm making it too big of a deal, but I do think that it's going to be one of those things that becomes another.
But like you said, Joe, that's if it's caught.
Games.
That's if it's caught every season. Well, okay, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat, then yes, it's another way
that's also true. You got to think about it.
Packers to win.
They can identify all these penalties afterwards, but like during the game in live action, there's definitely a bunch of those they're going to miss. So It's even less than what we're saying.
The rule change I want is like that NFL referees get fined if they F a call up.
Yeah, I would love that, and I would love for
Or just had a sky judge. You don't have to worry about it.
For the officials to have to meet with the reporters afterwards. Have a pool reporter meet with the officials after.
Yeah, that would be fair. The reporter. Now we talked about that. I wanted to get into the kickoff. I think this is interesting. There's been, I don't know, I think actually a lot of positive reviews because I think the fans realized the kickoffs have been a lot safer in the XFL where this was kind of experimented. But now the kickoff will be where the kicking team and the receiving team will have a line of, I think, up to 9 people, 5 yards apart. The kicking team will have 10. I think the receiving team can have 9 and 2 guys back. And then the kicker, I believe, is 20 yards back behind the front line.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to just?
Yeah, you can. I'm just guessing off what I had earlier, but I think it's pretty accurate.
Keep shooting from the hip. It's not far. I mean, it's probably not that far out. Standard kicks will begin from the 35, but everything else will look different. The 10 kick coverage players will line up at the opposing 40.
40.
With 5 guys on each side of the field. So the kicker still is on the 35.
Okay.
But on their own 35, right? But then your kick team is 15 yards in front of you or whatever.
All right, I said 20, so I was pretty close.
I didn't know that's even what you were saying. The return team will have at least 9 blockers lined up in the setup zone between the 30 and 35, with at least 7 of those players touching the 35 and up to 2 returners allowed to be inside the 20. So you can have 7 touching the 35 and then 2 more behind the 35. So between the 35 and the 30, which is dumb. That's only 5 yards, but that's fine. And then 2 more guys back to receive the ball. So only the kicker and the 2 returners will be allowed to move until the ball hits the ground or is touched by a returner inside the 20. So you can't even move until the guy gets the ball or the ball hits the ground.
I'm pretty sure it's like kind of like a rugby scrum where the ref watches it and then they'll like blow the play in play.
Blow a whistle?
Yeah. When it hits or when they catch it.
Any kick that reaches the end zone in the air can be returned, or the receiving team can opt for a touchback in possession at the 30. Did you say the 35, Lucas, earlier?
I thought it was the 35. The video misled me.
So previously it was the 25. Right now it's 5 more yards. So it's now the 30.
If the ball gets kicked in the air in the end zone, correct?
In the air in the end zone. Yep.
All right.
And they don't return it. So you can return it still. Or you can opt for the ball at the 30.
That's a no-brainer.
Is it?
Yes.
You get the ball at the 30? Hell yeah.
Yeah, you take it every time.
At the 30, like I could understand trying to return it if the touchback was the 20 like it used to be. Occasionally the 25 if you have a good returner. The 30 is just like that's free yards, man. Free yards, free money.
Your all your blockers are already at the 30. You get to move first because you hit the ball and then the whistle blows. But you're
the opposing team
is going to blow you up a lot faster.
They're starting at the 40, so
right. They're already on the other end of the field.
Dude, for them to run from the 40.
I hear you, but your blockers are right there too.
They're going to meet at the 35.
They're not like running. They're not like running full speed at your blockers anymore.
Right. No, they're going to meet at the 35 if you give 5 and 5 yards for each, right? They'll meet at the 35 and you'll get, out of 9, you'll get 5 defeated blocks and your defenders are going to be closing in on you right about the 27, right about the 26, it'll be
this is
I think
why
it's more.
interesting.
All I'm saying it's more of a toss up than it's just an automatic. Just take the ball at the 30.
I totally see what you're saying, Chris. And now that I think about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, you have a point. Now keep going with the rule though. If you don't kick it in the end zone on the fly, what is the other touchback?
Yep. Any kick that reaches the end zone in the air goes out of bounds or out of the end zone also will result in a touchback at the 30. So if it hits in the end zone and goes out of bounds, or goes straight through the back of the end zone, then you get the ball at the 30. If a ball hits a returner or the ground before the end zone and goes into the end zone, a touchback will result at the ball being at the 20, or the kick can be returned. Any kick received in the field of play must be returned. I mean, no, you don't. You can just lay down. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. But yeah, so any ball that hits at the 1 yard line or forward and goes out of bounds, the ball goes to the 20 unless it's returned. If a kicked ball goes out of bounds before the end zone or does not reach the landing zone, the return team gets the ball at the 40. So as far as the out of bounds rule, that is the same, but the reaching the landing zone is the interesting. How would it not reach the landing zone? Like,
The landing zone is between the goal line and the 20-yard line. So if you somehow
kick
kicked
it
it,
that short,
yeah, if you like
you whip
squibbed it.
you fall down.
Wait, Chris,
Under-
what did that say though? If the ball goes out of bounds without being in the landing zone?
So it says if a kick goes out of bounds before the end zone, so similar to what we have today or last year, then the ball goes to the 40. Same rule applies. Ball goes to the 40 if it doesn't reach the landing zone. So it doesn't matter about out of bounds. That's so if it's between the 35 and the opposing 20, like you said.
So
So
are
you
we done with
basically-
onside kicks? Is that
So
what
you can't squib it then, Chris? Like, is it just a dead ball if it lands
You
at like the
can
30 and stays there?
You can squib it, but it just says doesn't reach. It doesn't say doesn't reach in the air. I
Well,
guess
that's why I'm confused. So if you kicked it and the ball just landed and stayed at the 30, are they just calling it a dead ball and you get it at the 40? Do you know what I'm saying?
Standard kicks between for 35.
somebody's going to manipulate this rule into an extra possession?
So I think it's between the 30 and the end zone is your landing zone. So
the 30 in the end zone. I thought it was the 20 in the end zone.
No, no.
We don't need to harp on this. New kickoffs, more returns.
Okay, so under the current rules, any touchback or if returner calls for a fair catch in the field of play results in the receiving team getting involved at its 25. So that's pretty much the same as we have it. Okay, so why make a change? Kickoff returns were becoming obsolete after a series of rule changes made them safer and rarer over the past several seasons. True. Last season led to a new low of just 21.8% of all kicks being returned. As both kicking and receiving teams too often opted to avoid the risk of possible return. Only 4 kicks were returned for touchdowns, lowest rate since 93. Just one more than Jacoby Ford had by himself for the Raiders as recently as 2010.
The Raiders.
The return rate had significantly dropped from 37.5% in 2022 down. It is down from 80% in 2010 before the rule changes started. Blah, blah, blah. The XFL had a 97% return rate on all kickoffs in the 2023 season. Oof. The changes were put in place because the kickoffs were most dangerous. Blah, 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 blah. More returns. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what about onside kicks? The new rule eliminates the possibility of surprise onside kicks like the one famously turned the tide in Super Bowl 44 when New Orleans stole an extra possession by recovering an onside kick to open the second half against Indy. Trailing teams will have to declare their intention to attempt an onside kick in the fourth quarter, and those will be conducted under the same rules that had previously been in place. See, that's what I was saying, Lucas, in the fourth quarter. So you can only do it when down and in the fourth.
That's bullshit.
Which is silly. The surprise onside kick is in common practice. Blah, blah, blah. In all, there have been 5 successful
dribble right up the
onside
middle
kicks in the first 3 quarters of the game in the past 5 seasons. Yeah, you can't do that.
No more squib dribble up the middle. That's bullshit.
So what is the so with the onside kick, you have to declare that you're doing it, right? And then do you just line up like the old kickoff then, like 10 yards apart, basically?
Yep.
Gotcha. So did we ever clarify what happens if the ball doesn't land in the landing zone?
The other team gets the ball at the 40.
You have to wear your pants around your ankles and play the
With your shoelaces tied together.
It just says doesn't make it. It doesn't say doesn't land. It doesn't say it has to be done in the air. The only thing that seems to be having anything to do with in the air is landing in the end zone.
Everyone has to play the next snap with their pants around their ankles, just like the golfing rule if you can't hit it past the ladies' tee.
Did you know that if you hit a ball off the tee and it does not go off the tee box, it's not a stroke? You can hit it again.
Oh, sweet.
Like you can re-tee it and everything.
I did not know that. How's
That
that?
is I don't know.
That's a PGA rule?
Yeah. Bob found it or he was watching golf and they were talking about it or something.
Ideally, none of us have to use that rule, but sometimes.
Hey, dude, sometimes it happens on the first tee.
Dude, think about all the times you took a big old hack and it just kind of tipped the ball off the tee. That doesn't count anymore. Or it never did, or it never was supposed to, I suppose.
If you were playing with friends that made that count anyways, they're not your friends.
They're not your friends, but they're your buddies that are assholes, and they made you count it. At least they pretended they did. Oh, that's one. Oh, that's one. Anybody like any of these rule changes? Anybody like, oh man, the game was definitely missing that.
Love the kickoff as far as way to implement more kickoff returns. Hate the fact that there's no onside kicks anymore, really. It's the death of the onside kick.
I mean, the fact of the matter is there wasn't very many onside kick success anyway. I think what we need to see is a way for more onside kicks to be successful.
Yes.
But still low probability.
You know what they need to do?
Like a 30%.
The new onside kick is this. Inside the 10-yard space between the kicking team and receiving team, you have to land the ball in that space. And basically, if it's landing in that space, it's free for all. Then you can go.
So it doesn't have to go 10 yards.
Well, the new kickoff rule, right? Both kickoff team, return team, and
I see what you're saying. With the new rule, okay.
Right?
I'm still imagining the old lineup. Okay.
So you got to pooch it into the new space between them, right? And it's just a jump ball battle zone in that 10 yard.
I got a way better idea. How about all? What do we got left? How about 20 guys line up at the 20, and you play like three flies up rules, and the kicker pushes it up there, and whoever can jump up and grab it out of the 20 dudes, they get the ball.
Love it.
Done.
You gotta keep some violence in the sport. A little violence.
I'll get Roger on the. Well, yeah, because then you can just like knock each other around, throw bows.
Right.
That'd be great.
You gotta have a little violence still left in this sport.
Little violence.
My dog, I don't know what you're trying to look at. I don't know what you're fucking doing. I've been giving you all kinds of attention during this podcast, but you just want to say hello to everybody.
Damn them mutts. No way.
Look at that.
Damn them mutts.
No. Oh, shoot. What else we got tonight, guys? We're at 38 minutes. We need to either close to a finish or say goodbye and save some Caleb Williams love for the next week.
I mean, the only other thing we could discuss, Joe, you kind of hinted at.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Don't do this again. You used to always do that, Joe.
Number 9. Because it's from. Do you know what it's from?
Isn't it from a song?
It's from the Beatles. Number 9. Oh gosh! All 4 quarterbacks are gone. Have we changed our minds at all? I mean, we did this dance last week. Are we taking an elite receiver or will it be tackle or
Odunze if he's there?
6'3" Odunze, and that kind of relieves some of your pressure to extend Keenan Allen.
Yep. I think if he's there, you got to take him. I do. I've had this conversation with some other people. I mean, you can depends how you look at this draft, but I do think the wide receivers and a couple of the quarterbacks are in a tier above some of the rest of the players in this class. So there's maybe only a couple other players I'd take above a Dunze at 9 if available.
Who would be those players?
Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and potentially Joe Alt.
So what if it's Joe Alt that's left on the board?
Potentially.
So would you take a small trade back to like 15, 16 and take Brock Bowers plus like a mid to late second rounder instead of a Dunze?
I'd rather have a Dunze.
Or Jerez Newton.
I don't know who that is. Oh, that's
Johnny
the
Newton,
tackle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have a Dunze.
Newton and some picks, bro.
Listen, if you're at number 9,
Brian Thomas,
and you get one of those receivers, my thing about those guys that I named is I don't see a way that they're really bad in the NFL. I think you're just getting a really safe player if you got a Joe Alt or an Adunze or a Neighbors or a Harrison. Yes, I get the extra draft capital. I'm sure you could project the careers of these other guys, but I feel very confident saying that those guys will be good if you took them at 9.
I'm not against it either. I'd be fine with either scenario, honestly.
I there's not really a scenario where I'll be mad, but just the way I view it, I think Adunze is better than.
I mean, we already have a free number 1 pick overall.
Right. Yeah, everything else is gravy.
Like the Panthers just gave us
number
1.
Thanks, Panthers.
Yeah. Dude, I still like just looking back at how that transpired and how it turned out and how.
Well, here's the thing. I don't understand how the Panthers looked at themselves in the mirror last year and said, we are one rookie quarterback away from getting back on track. Like,
and let's definitely take away his best weapon simultaneously. Like, this is essentially what the Steelers are doing now, too. They're giving away Deontay Johnson for a 6th-round pick. And you can think what you want about Deontay Johnson, but honestly, I think he's a pretty damn good wide receiver.
I think he's
You're leaving George Pickens and Freiermuth now to help homie out. Like, if they don't, I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't take the lead singer of the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson.
Brian Thomas?
Same.
Might not be there for him.
9.
Well, I don't know, Lucas. You were the winner of the outdrafted whatever that contest is called last year, right? Or
top 10.
Top 10.
The winner. I don't care.
That's a big deal.
The other people cheated.
For some random pot. Oh, that's because the other people had 17,000 votes inside 10 minutes.
The other people cheated. You were the one who won it.
I'm winning this year. I am winning this year.
That'd be wild, dude.
Well, we'll be cheering it on again this year because we will be doing live stream for Caleb Williams' coronation night.
Oh my!
Should we all paint? Should we all go to the nail salon and get our fingernails painted for draft night?
I thought you were going to say, should we all go to Detroit?
Well,
we will have representation in the house, I think, from the chat.
Oh, that'd be sick. But yeah, should we all just paint our nails navy that night in the spirit?
Navy and pink.
Navy and pink. It's October, guys. We're gonna jump on October. October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, where it's pink, where the NFL turns all the gear pink.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Well,
so he's gonna fit right in with that. he's gonna be wearing all the NFL pink gear.
All he's doing is working on early sponsorships.
Yes,
he's a marketing genius. He's probably got a deal with Pepto-Bismol lined up.
He just wants to be in Barbie too.
Cherry Dr. Pepper is already like going to be a thing.
He's that's not pink. Football player Ken and Barbie 2. Who cares? And he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, he's going to make the Bears a lot of money.
That's the plan, right, Abigail? Want a money for the Bears?
This is probably the biggest strike of luck the Bears have had in their franchise's history.
if it turns out,
Ooh, I don't know, man.
if it works out.
Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus in one draft. That was pretty special.
Was pretty
But
special.
this could be bigger.
You want to talk
Especially
about
if,
goals real quick? Giving the side eye to RG3 on the Pat McAfee show.
Oh, dude, I loved it. That RG3 rant was bullshit, and I'm glad that our GM actually has enough cojones to be like, yeah, that's not cool.
He said we were hired to break a cycle.
Now he said that pissed me off, and then he said that. Good, call that bozo out. That was the worst take I've ever heard. And then he goes, and then RG3 follows it up by like, oh yeah, the Bears should trade out of that so Washington can get him. Yeah, that's clearly not biased at all.
The franchise that ruined your career, yeah, genius, bro.
Freaking dope.
Freaking dumb. Him and Shady McCoy should have a podcast. The Dumb Club.
Those two and AB.
Idiots. Oh, AB's like coming around, man. That guy's
his Twitter is funny. His Twitter
is
hilarious.
I'm hoping that one day he makes me the cracker of the day.
Wouldn't that be cool? You saw he called Caleb the cracker of the day, right?
Should I just DM him and should I DM him with my and say, Caleb, come on, put somebody on. Yeah, exactly, AJ. RG3 is a bleeping bum.
Bleeping bum.
That's right. And then he did go on the timeline, and he was talking about God and something about taking on his enemies. And then someone in the comments was just like, the enemies are people on Twitter because they were roasting you for your take or something like that. And then someone else was like, the guy's praying to God now because he's getting roasted so bad on the timeline.
Oh my gosh.
Man, Twitter has been a war zone lately. And it's funny, but also at the same time, I'm just like, wow, Caleb Williams, I know, is on this app constantly looking for his name and seeing what people say. He's definitely seeing how crazy some of these people are on Bears Twitter. Like 100%.
Hey, I loved it. I sent that in the chat to you guys, but I stole it from somebody else. LGBTQB1.
He's already clapping back though, dude. Caleb Williams is already clapping back. Somebody called out his pink nail or pink phone, and he was like, they said like, pink phone is crazy, not gonna lie. And he said your profile pic is crazy, not gonna lie.
I love this guy. This is gonna be fun, fellas. Our quarterback is no longer a stoic robot. Hopefully he's good on the field, and we already know he's going to be a social media wizard. So,
yeah,
you gotta love it.
Gotta love it. I'm stoked. Yo, I think you should sing him a song.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams make every play, clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrill the nation. Caleb Williams, you got to learn the T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears, and let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears. Bear down.
Bear down, AJ.